All right, Jim. You know, you continue to make really good progress, and you know, I've told you that on the hill today, and your work is really paying off. You'll see it in this video, and I'm going to run it at half speed because I hope you have been able to watch it at regular speed, so you know what it looks like in regular speed. But the half speed gives us a chance to look at it and break it down a little bit more. And you know, this is these are some things that are really starting to click for you. That knee lift to get the early tipping in the high C, and you lifted the tip, which is great, and then the pullback, and you see when you lift the tip like that. Now, okay, I'm just going to be critical to the nth degree because you're ready for it. If I wouldn't bring this up this way if you weren't ready, okay? So, okay, so here's you are right about here, or maybe even there, the little blue one. Now, that's a good lift, and it's the right thing. Okay, so when did it start? Great, it started here, and so I'm going to draw that. Okay, it started right there where it should. Okay, that's excellent. Now, then it lifted. It took a long while between the lift and when you tilted it. Okay, so you lifted it, you know, maybe a little high on the tip. You don't really need to lift that high, but it's okay. And now, when does the tilting begin? That's the next thing you got to figure out. When does that tilting, when does this movement to go this way more obviously, so you get a space between the knees and the outside knee can follow it? When does that happen relative to when you lifted? Okay, so you lifted, if you look at the red line I drew in, you started lifting at the first blue slash across the red line. You kept lifting until you got to the second or third slash, but the tipping didn't start happening. So let's have a look at where the yellow, that's the next most important thing. The yellow tipping thing happened, okay? Did it? When did it? All right, now it's starting to happen. Okay, good. And now you're right at the apex of the fall line. And is it tipping more? Yeah, now it's starting to get some angles. Okay, and that's where you lose some of your counterbalance. Okay, now watch what happened just here. Then you tipped, and then the upper body leaned in, and you got a little bit straight here, okay? And what I mean by straight, there. All right? Even though your upper body and your jacket, you know, is, well, vertical would be there, right? That's vertical. And your head definitely should be on the other side of vertical. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is your head should be over there on this side. The poles are great. This pole's great. I mean, you know, obviously bringing it around more in the front would be great as you go to the inside of the turn, but it's fine. But mainly it's dropping down on that hip that we constantly keep talking about, all right? Dropping down on this side to get that hip lower so you can tip further and counterbalance better. And when you counterbalance better, you're going to tip further and earlier. So that's basically what I'm getting at on this particular turn. And it pretty much describes all the points, where, timing, and also how much or what movement you should make with which part of the body. All right, let's go on. All right, there's another good move with the foot coming in and the foot's lifted. And your angles are better already. You see the difference? Can you see the difference here? Look at the tipping. All right. Good. Keep the inside one tipping and the heel close. You see the heel separated there a bit. So keep, and the heel separates to some extent because you never know when you're going to lose your balance there, because again, this is the point almost in the same place as your last turn where you gave up some of that counterbalance. All right, so let's have a look at that again. Vertical line is there. I'm going to undo that and use a different line. That's vertical. And where's your head relative to vertical? Okay, it's on the inside, not on the outside of the turn, right? And I don't have to draw this for you because you know this. Your head should be on that side, which would make a huge difference. Remember the photo I showed you on my phone this morning with the World Cup skier where his head was, is vertical, right? You can get to that, but it's going to require the hip shift and that loosening up the hip so that that hip stays over more on that side and lower. Okay, so, and then you'll tip more. You're doing it with the hands. The hands are great. You know what you're trying to do. Now we just got to get more range of motion so that you can get that counterbalance stronger. Lift that ski, yeah, okay. Just be careful that when you do that little bit of stiffening up on the uphill leg over here. Okay, there's a little bit of, like right here, watch this. There's a little bit of rising right, a little bit of a push rather than a settling down on that outside leg. And that's where you get the lean, see that? See there, now your upper body is leaning in a little beyond where you should be, but your feet are saving you and you're tipping, you know, that's a huge change from last year and the year before. Your tipping is saving you. And look at how nice that finish is. All right, so if you got a little more counterbalance at the point I'm talking about rather than the outside, and here you'll see it. Look at the rising still on the outside leg. See that right there? You see how when you rise like that, it takes your upper body that way instead of what you would rather have is you want your knee to go that way, your leg to go that way, your foot to go that way, and settle down on that side. Settle down without extension on that side. Okay, so let's see how the rest of it works. I mean, everything is great. Rather than now, you see what you're doing here is and I'm being very, very fine tuning of these movements. What you did just there is you got a little stiff on that outside leg. When you got stiff on that outside leg, what it did was it brought your body more to the inside. Okay, it's still not leaning, but it's starting to. Okay, so watch here. Now, what's tipping first? Is it that extension right there? See that? That extension of that outside leg, that's taking over. And what do you want right here to take over because you're in the perfect place to do it? You want that to take over. You want that blue tipping leg and foot to take over. And instead what's happening is, watch, that extension on that leg, that's taking over, it's stiffening. And as a result, when you do that, the inside doesn't tip. Now, when do we get that tipping of the inside? Okay, now it's more. But that's because your feet are below you on the slope. It's not because you've tipped a whole lot more. So you could be more active, is what I'm getting at. Now you're doing it, okay? Look at what had happened. Down here, when the curve's almost done, you increase the tipping angles of the lower body. So that, all of that should be happening much sooner. Okay, there's your lift. A little bit too much tall on. See, whenever you go tall or extend, look at a bend in the uphill leg right here. Okay, it's bent. That leg is bent. So this leg is bent, all right, which is fine. That's fine right there. Now watch what happens when you come across to change your edges. When you lift, as soon as you lift that leg, you're also lifting that leg. You want to lift this, and this should be going down, not up. Okay, that's what you got to change. Now let's watch that going across here. There's your extension on the uphill leg, and as a result, I guarantee you the tipping stops as a result. And the leaning begins. There it is, right there. Now, it's definitely not like Brian's, who needs, to figure out how to keep this side down. But it does, you are extending to somewhat in that direction with the body and not staying over that inside, which does hold back your tipping, okay? All right. There's your extension. There's your extension. And on the uphill leg, there's your extension right there. All right, so that's the next move, is no extension on the uphill leg when you transfer to the uphill ski. Doesn't happen all the time, but you can see in the last 3 turns you were doing it. Okay, so you've got to figure out, okay, when am I doing it, when I'm not doing it, and stop doing it when you are doing it. Okay. All right, well, that was great 3 days and a lot of good work and a lot of good progress. And I think you're getting to really understand this whole deal and starting to be able to apply those things. So great. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow in the morning.